Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is the Phillies season so far, and just how well they've been doing and why I think they have been doing so well. After that, we'll be going over the return of Walker Buehler and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, how great he's been recently. So just a little bit of an overview of the Dodgers pitching staff. Then we'll be going over the AL Central and just what's happening there, and mainly the Twins, what's been going on with them. And finally, we'll be going over the MLB executive poll of what the best offseason signing was. Now, before all that, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. Read has helped the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show today. So now, as I talked about, the first segment is going to be about the Phillies, so let's get straight into it. Now, the Phillies are having a very interesting season so far after being second in the NL East for most of the season and really most of the last 2-3 years. They have now came in front of the Braves at the start of the season and are now in first place. They are 25-11 to the Braves 20-12, 3 games above them. In their last 10, they are 9-1, and they have a winning streak of 6 games. They're 6-3 against teams above 500 as well. So obviously not just doing great against bad opponents. So really the question I think a lot of people are wondering is, well, what's going on with the Phillies? Why are they doing this good? We know they're a great team, but are they this great of a team? Is it going to continue like this? Are they going to be this good of a team still? And I think the question we have to first wonder is, okay, well, why are they doing so well? And just what's been clicking for them? Well, for me, I think it's clearly the pitching staff. Now, the pitching staff has been so good this year, and I think that's mainly for a reason. And that is because of just overperformance and how well people have been doing. You look so far right now at everyone with 6 games started or more. You have Zach Wheeler, who has an ERA of 1.64, Ranger Suarez, who has an ERA of 1.72, Aaron Nola, 3.32, Christopher Sanchez, 3.68, Spencer Turnbull, 1.67. So, obviously, they're all doing really, really well. We've known about the Phillies pitching for a little while. We've known that their pitching is really good, but it's doing a lot better right now. And I think that is really improving this team, really making them a lot better. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon as well. I think when you see these kind of numbers from a team, your first thought is, okay, well, they're just getting lucky. It's not going to stay like that. I think it is. And, you look at these guys right now. First of all, you look at, of course, Zach Wheeler. I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say Zach Wheeler's having a fluke season after the time he spent with the Phillies now. He's established himself as one of the best pitchers in baseball, as one of the best players in baseball, and I think that's showing. His FIP is 2.29. His xFIP is 2.57. His stats doing really well. So it's not exactly like he's just going to regress out of nowhere. It's not like he's just a nobody that, came out of nowhere and was just doing really, really well. No. I mean, he's been great for a long time. We know this. His K/9 right now is 12, which is insane. His FIP is 2.29, which is incredible. His barrel percentage is 5.1%, exactly the same as last year. Hard hit percentage is 33.9, a little lower than last year. Expected ERA is 2.27. So you look at Zach Wheeler, he's really holding this pitching staff down. He's really being the prototypical ace for this team. So I think that's a real big help there as well. Then, of course, you have Ranger Suarez, who has been absolutely incredible this season. I mean, he was always a really solid pitcher for the Phillies, but wasn't this good and wasn't a all-star level pitcher like he has been this year. I mean, he's just been so good. You look at his stats right now, he has an ERA of 1.72, has a pitching WAR of 1.4 according to Fangraphs, a FIP of 2.80, and an expected FIP of 2.58. I mean, his other peripheral stats are really good as well. You look at them right now, his K/9 is at the same usually as 8.81. Walk per 9, 1.15, averaging 1 walk a game. That's crazy nowadays. Pitchers do not do that. K percentage of 27, just 26.9, so we're rounding up. BABIP is pretty low, so that might have to go up a little bit for him, but still. His FIP is 2.80, ERA minus 42. You look at his barrel percentage, 5.1, which is 2% lower than last year. Hard hit percentage is almost 10% lower than last year. Expected ERA, 2.24. So you look at both Ranger and you look at Zach Wheeler, really the two aces right now, I'd say. I would say, as of this point, Ranger Suarez is a better pitcher than Aaron Nola. You look at this right now, it's not like they're stopping, and it's just the Phillies pitching staff has been really, really good. It's really leading them to these points where they're going to now be in the first place of the NL East, going above teams like the Braves, who, as we know, are one of the most elite teams in all of baseball, a team that most people consider the top tier of the National League. So I think when you're doing that, when you have a pitching staff like the Phillies do, you're going to be in for a really good situation this year and going to be in for a really good time if you're a Phillies fan. Doing very, very well. And again, it doesn't look like it's really stopping because you have these pitchers. You have Aaron Nola, who's also doing incredible, 3.32 ERA. Christopher Sanchez, 3.68. And this is all without Taijuan Walker, who was supposed to be a big part of your pitching staff this year. Yes, Walker was a questionable signing when it happened. I still don't like the signing. Thought it was a bad signing when it happened. And he hasn't been that good in a Phillies uniform. But he still was supposed to be a big part. He was supposed to be a big part of your depth. But instead, someone else has stepped up. And that man's name is Spencer Turnbull. Now, Spencer Turnbull was a mediocre pitcher for the Tigers for a few years. Was either a free agent or got cut. And the Phillies picked him up on just a little minor league contract. But not a minor league contract, a little MLB contract, $2 million, just to be a depth guy, kind of six-man when he comes in when they need a six-man rotation, bulk guy at the bullpen, but was making a lot of starts because of the Taijuan Walker injury and was really, really good. You look at his stats right now, he has a 1.67 ERA. His FIP's a little high for 3.24, but that's still not bad. His expected FIP is 3.10, so all in 32 innings pitched. He's made 6 starts for them, 6 appearances, so no appearances that were not starts, nothing out of the bullpen. So I think when you're a team like the Phillies, who already has so much talent and now is getting performances from guys like Christopher Sanchez, from a guy like Spencer Turnbull, where they're outperforming their expectations, they're doing really, really well, I think it's going to make your team so much better. So props to them for finding these pitchers and signing them to really good contracts and getting them to be at this place right now. So I think when you look at the Phillies right now, the main thing you have to look at is their pitching staff, how well every pitcher is doing, and just how much depth they do have. Right now, if I'm going into a playoff series, I have to face Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, and then Spencer Turnbull has been doing really good this season. So you look at the Phillies in these past few seasons and you realize they're made for the playoffs. This is what their team is built off of. You look at these past few years, you look at how they've played. You look at how they've made the NLCS 2 years in a row. They made the World Series a year ago. This team is built for the new age playoffs. What they do is what you all need in the playoffs. Home runs and great starting pitching. And that's what they do. So I think this Phillies team kind of was looking for it in the regular season, and they finally found it. That's why they're ahead of the Braves, and that's why they're doing really well. But if I'm a Phillies fan, it doesn't really matter where I finished in the regular season, because all that matters is making it to the playoffs, because when it gets to the playoffs, really nobody can beat you. We were all convinced that they would make the World Series last year, but the Diamondbacks came out of nowhere and won 2 games in Philly to take it, one of the most impressive things I've seen in a long time. So, Philly, they have a lot going for them right now. That home ballpark is one of the best in baseball, some of the best fans in baseball. As much as it might pay me to say that as a native New Yorker, that Philly has great fans, they do. And they've shown up really well these past few seasons. They've showed out for their team. They've done a really great job. So props to them, and I think it is definitely making a difference. You look at these big free agent signings these past few years, one being Trey Turner. Trey Turner said in his press conference, I watched the videos of these fans going crazy for the playoffs. I saw what would happen when they would hit a home run. I saw how these fans would come out for the playoffs games, and that makes a difference. And when you're Philly, who is a big market, when you're trying to recruit stars all the time with a GM like Dave Dombrowski, I think having a great fan base is really important and something that is very appealing to a big-time free agent. I think that it is something that really, really helps with you and getting players on your team, and does a really good job there. So props to them and props to Dombrowski. Now for the hitting as well. We all know about the hitting for the Phillies. Not really a surprise if I say their hitting's elite. It is. It's really, really good. But the thing about it is that they're having contributors contribute that usually don't. Right now, you look at this team. First of all, you look at who the leaders are. You have Alec Bohm, who has come out of nowhere and honestly been an MVP candidate. I mean, this guy in 146 plate appearances has a WRC plus of 175, is at 2 WAR already. He's doing really, really well. And Bohm was a top pick in the MLB draft 2 years ago. His 3rd overall pick in 2018. Has not been a great hitter throughout his MLB career. 105 last year, 98 before, 76. So it's just been very, very mediocre, but is finally breaking out and doing really, really well. And that's really what is putting this Phillies team up to the top of the leaderboard and top of the standings. Do I think Alec Bohm is going to continue having a WRC plus 175 or an OPS plus of something that's really, really high? No, I don't. But do I think that he's still going to be a really good player? At this point, yeah. And I think the main problem with the Phillies has been the left side of that infield and Bohm and Turner. Trey Turner struggled last year with the Phillies the first half a lot. Got better, of course, after the standing ovation. But third base is always a problem with them. They had Alec Bohm there. He wasn't playing very well. And it wasn't even like he was playing defense that you could just stick him there. But I think Phillies were ready to give up on him. I think Phillies fans were too. And he's just proven that completely wrong. He's become a really great hitter, middle-of-the-order bat for a team like the Phillies, whose offensive core consists of guys like G.T. Realmuto, of Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, Johan Rojas, Brandon Marsh, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, guys like that. And I see Bohm making his mark on the league, making his mark with the Phillies, and it just is propelling this team so much. It's getting them to new heights that I don't think a lot of people could have expected them to be. And right now, they're one of the best teams in baseball, and they're first in the NL East. So if I'm a Phillies fan right now, I'd be really, really excited. I'd be really happy about what's going on. And I'd be excited just about the future of my team. So, the only negative here is that Trey Turner did just get hurt. He's out for 6 weeks. But, they do have Edmundo Sosa, who I think is a quality backup player, a quality guy to fill in for Trey Turner. Are you going to be able to contribute like Trey Turner does? No, because Trey Turner is one of the best players in baseball, top 5 shortstop in this league when he's on, probably even higher. And, 6 weeks after finally finding your rhythm as a Philly for Turner, finally doing really well with the team, I think is really unfortunate and something that does really suck for Phillies fans. But at the same time, I'm confident in Sosa, and this offense right now is doing so well that you don't really need Turner. You can let him go for 2 weeks, let him get healthy. So this Phillies team right now, basically what I'm trying to say, is really, really good. They have a lot going for them. Their pitching staff is incredible. Their hitting core has so much depth and so much sheer amount of talent that things are looking good right now in the city of brotherly love. And if I'm a Phillies fan, I'd be excited. And one thing again about the Phillies is we've known they've done well in their playoffs, but in the regular season, if they can get a first seed and not play the greatest of opponents, that's going to be a piece of cake walk to the World Series. I mean, they beat the Dodgers, they beat the Phillies in these past few years, so this team is built for the playoffs, and they're doing really, really well in the regular season right now. So props to them, and props to their team builders like Dave Dombrowski for building such a great team, and props to that fan base for making people want to go there. So just doing really, really well for the Phillies right now, and just did want to talk about it. So that was the end of segment 1, talking about the Phillies and their season they've been having this year. Moving on to the second segment, which is going to be talking about the Dodgers and their pitching staff, just what's going on there. So we'll be going to the break, but we'll see you after that. So thanks and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. All right, let's get into our second segment of the day today, which is going to be talking about the Dodgers pitching staff. Now, the Dodgers recently got some reinforcements back with their pitching staff, with star pitcher Walker Buehler coming back from the injured list after almost 2 years on the sideline dealing with Tommy John. He's had some setbacks. The Dodgers have been careful with him, and he's finally come back and made an impact for the Dodgers. Made his first start last night against the Marlins. He went 4 innings pitched, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. 6.75 ERA in the season now in his first appearance. Now, obviously, we're taking this with a grain of salt. And really, when you look at a player's performance, from a lengthy absence on the injured list, trying to come back from an injury, you're really not looking at the results. You're looking at how he pitched and, what was his velocity like, what was his movement like. And honestly, it was pretty good. His fastball velocity was good. It touched 97.6 in the first inning, so almost at 98. He was locating really well, hit the corner a few times. His slider was working. His off-speed was nice. So I think overall, if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'd be really excited to have Walker Buehler back. I think that Buehler is one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy, or at least was. I'm not exactly sure how good he is going to be once he does come back. I mean, once he does get into the full rhythm of things and kind of is done away from that pitching injury. I think that it is going to be a long-term effect in his career, unfortunately, and I don't know if he'll ever be the same, quote-unquote, but you look at his past and you look how electric he was, how much he fired up his team, how much of a fan favorite he was, how good he was just in general. I think that's something the Dodgers are really going to be happy to get back. You look at this pitching staff, of course, you have guys like Tyler Glasnow, like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, like a James Paxton, like a Bobby Miller, like a Michael Grove, but a lot of those guys are new. You have Glasnow, who just got traded here, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who just signed, Michael Grove, Bobby Miller, who are rookies either in their first or second year, and Sheehan, same thing. Buehler's the veteran, which is crazy to say because he hasn't even hit his second contract yet, but he is the veteran for this team. He is the guy that knows what it takes to be a Dodger, knows what it's like to be a Dodger, and knows what it's like to pitch in Los Angeles. So I think when you're getting that kind of guy back, you're getting him back in the run of things, back in your rotation. It's a really positive thing, and it's a really positive outlook for this team. So if I was a Dodgers fan, I'd be really excited, really happy about what's going on with him. So yeah, I mean, if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'd be stoked about what's going on, getting him back, having him back just in your rotation and with everyone. So you look at, I think with him, he provides a valuable piece of depth. Him, Yamamoto, Glasnow, that's a great top 3. You have Bobby Miller, Sheehan, who are going to be probably in the 4 or 5 roles, who are also really good, but I don't think are on the level of that. I think Bobby Miller could be, but I'm not sure if he ever is going to hit that. So getting Buehler back is really exciting. Really happy for him. Always seemed like a great guy with baseball. Just seemed like a really good personality, and I think baseball needs more of that. So yeah, hoping he can do really well for them, and hoping he can bring another level of stability to this Dodgers rotation that definitely needs it, because the one thing that is a little bit of a question mark with this Dodgers team is injuries. You look at Yamamoto, who has had some injuries back in Japan and is younger and does have insane stuff. The injury bug might be coming to him. Glasnow, who of course has an extensive injury history. So I think getting a guy like Buehler back and just getting overall pitching depth back is such a positive, such a big deal for the Dodgers because of the negatives they have there, because of the lack of pitching depth they have. I think having a guy there is great, and hopefully he's going to do a really good job there. Now, the next guy I want to talk about in this rotation was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Now, Yamamoto had an interesting start to his MLB career. Started in Korea with the Dodgers versus the Padres. Only lasted 1 inning, giving up an insane amount of runs. Looked really, really bad. His pitches were hanging. He wasn't locating that much. A lot of people were quick to write him off after one start, I might add, after getting the biggest pitching contract in the history of baseball. But I always believed in him. I think he's going to be a really good player, and I think so far he's proving that for the rest of this year. You look at him right now, he has 33 innings pitched under his belt, 40 strikeouts, 7 walks only, a 1.67 ERA, and a whip under 1, so allowing less than 1 base runner per inning. So I think what Yamamoto brings is just the X factor. When he's on, I mean, man, there might not be a pitcher better than Yamamoto in the league already. A lot of the things we heard about Yamamoto coming over into the MLB was that teams viewed him already as a top 3 starter in baseball. They viewed him as a true ace and a true difference maker on day one. And that's hard to do, considering that you're coming over from a new country, learning a whole new language, having whole new teammates, learning a whole new culture, whole new staff, whole new organization, a whole new fan base. I think that's really hard to do. But the Dodgers believed, the Phillies believed, the Mets believed, and the Yankees believed, and all the other teams that offered him big contracts, they obviously believed. So I think Yamamoto has proven them right so far. He's doing a really, really great job, and has been a really positive pitcher for this Dodgers team and been a really positive figure. So with Yamamoto right now, you look at his stats, a 2.91 ERA, a FIP of 2.61. So his FIP is actually lower than his ERA, even though his ERA is already insane. Has 1 WAR already in 7 starts. You look at some of the other things as well, a K per 9 of 11.12, walk per 9 of 2, which is fine, K to walk ratio of 5.25. He has a left on base percentage of 77, which is really, really great. A FIP minus of 66, a FIP of 2.61. So doing a really good job in that department as well. And you now go to his other things like the barrel percentage. The barrel percentage is 10%, which is really solid. Hard hit percentage of 44. Expected ERA of 3.31. So it's really not that higher than his ERA currently. So you see how good he's doing. You see that, it's not just like he's getting lucky so far. It's that so far he's doing well, and it looks like he's going to continue that way. So I think having Yamamoto in this pitching staff is helping the Dodgers a lot, doing a really great job with them, and just he's giving them another element that I don't know that they could have. I mean, this offseason, the Dodgers signed Yamamoto, and trading for Glasnow in the span of a few weeks was insane. I mean, I thought it was one or the other. I thought they would get at least one, but getting 2 was crazy. Then they signed James Paxton, and we're like, oh my gosh, they get Clayton Kershaw back, they get Walker Buehler back. It's just insane. This team is just insane with all the pitching depth they have, and they do a really good job of getting the depth, accumulating it, and knowing when to strike. The thing about them is they don't just spend impulsively like maybe a team like people would say the Mets do. They know when to spend, and they know when the players are to really bring the full court press out and give the money to. They didn't pay Trey Turner because they didn't pay Corey Seager because they knew Ohtani was available, and they probably knew Yamamoto was available. I think that they were probably scouting Yamamoto for years, watering him for years. I know the Mets were. I know the Yankees definitely were. So I'm sure the Dodgers are doing the same. So the thing about the Dodgers is they know when to strike. They know when to get their big names. And with the pitching staff, they've done really, really well. Looking at the Dodgers' playoff history in these past few years, the one thing that has not gone well is the pitching. They've lost some embarrassing series. I won't lie to you. They've done not great against some teams they should have, mainly last year with the Diamondbacks. You had Lance Lynn in 2023 having significant innings being pitched for you against a really good young Diamondbacks team. So I think when you look at things like that, you're hoping that the Dodgers can get more pitching depth, get more guys on your staff that are real difference makers and are not just there to be a body. And you look and because their pitching has been so bad these past few seasons in the playoffs, they knew they had to get better, and that's exactly what they did this offseason. Having now a top 3 in this playoffs of, first I would probably put Glasnow, then I'd put Yamamoto, I would put Walker Buehler, and then probably Bobby Miller. You only really need 4. I think that's really tough to beat. And now we talked about the Phillies, how well they've been doing, how good their season has been. But, the Dodgers and their pitching staff and just how well it is giving them a run for their money. I think the Dodgers and Phillies are the 2 best pitching staff in the league and definitely in the NL as well. So, overall, I'm excited to watch this team go forward. I mean, how can you not be excited to watch this Dodgers team? They're so, so good and just, are doing a really good job I mean, they just swept the Braves, for crying out loud. We talked about that yesterday. Braves are now in second place in the division, 3 games behind. Talked about that in the first segment, of course. So Dodgers are really just demolishing teams left and right, showing people their true potential. And the amount of stars they have and the amount of talent they have, they should be. I mean, again, they have 4 former MVPs on the roster: Clayton Kershaw, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. They have some other All-Stars as well. Will Smith, who just got a huge extension. You have Max Muncy, who's a All-Star. Teoscar Hernandez, who's been a really good player for a long time. James Outman, a really promising rookie. Bullpen, of course, you have Evan Phillips, who did just get hurt, but still is a really good closer. Brusdar Graterol, also a really good pitcher. So Dodgers overall are just an amazing team. Just a masterclass in roster building, in my opinion, what to do. And having the money they have and having the assets they have playing in Los Angeles, I'd say it also helps them a lot, obviously. So if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'd be really excited about what's going on right now. I'd be really excited just about the team's direction and all the amazing young players they have on this team. So, yeah, really excited right now if I am a Dodgers fan. And hopeful that Buehler can come in, bring another element to this pitching staff that we haven't seen, bring a lot of depth for them, and just do really, really well. Moto's going to keep doing his thing. So his last night, we saw it against the Dodgers. We saw it against the Braves when they swept them. We saw how good this pitching staff was. So, just props to them. Props to how good their staff and their team has been. So, yeah, really exciting time if you're a Dodgers fan. We knew this in the offseason. So, really, really excited to watch them. Excited to see if they can finally get over that hump in the playoffs. I mean, that's really been their biggest thing. I think the problem has been the pitching. And having the pitching they do have now, I think that it is really going to help them get them farther in the playoffs they've seen in a little while. So that's the hope right now, and that's what you're hoping if you are a Dodgers fan. So, yeah. Talked about Walker Buehler, his return to the Dodgers mound, and what he can bring to this rotation, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and just overall this Dodgers pitching staff. So, yeah, going into our third segment, which is going to be talking about the Twins and the recent run they've been having, just their recent record and what's going on with them. So, yeah, we're going into that, but we'll see you after the break. So, we'll talk about it then. So, thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about the Twins' recent run and just overall the AL Central in general. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that, and let's get straight into it. So, with the Twins, you have a team that is currently on a 15-2 run. 15-2. They are 9-1 in their last 10, winning streak of 1. They are 9-7 at home, 11-7 on the road. Haven't been great against teams over 500, but have been doing really good this recent run. And the thing about the Twins is they're second in the AL Central. I had them projected to be the best team in the AL Central, like a lot of people did. I really thought no other team had a chance, but obviously that was before the Guardians went Super Saiyan and just insane. So, they've been really, really good and just doing a really great job. So, I think with the Twins, one of the big question marks was just like in general, what's going on with them? I mean, kind of not a question mark, just kind of just a question. What's going on with this team? I mean, they have been doing really, really bad this season. They were in last place of the AL Central at one point. They were very close to the White Sox, which was not a good thing. You don't want to be ever close to the White Sox ever at all. close to the White Sox means you're doing something bad, because they're the real bad team. I mean, the White Sox, there's bad and there's White Sox bad. So I think with the Twins and just how their season was going, it was a real shocker, because they did really, really well last season. They finally had won a playoff series and a playoff game. They made it to the second round, won a second-round playoff game against the Astros, a team that is kind of their rival, I guess. They're two really good competitive AL teams. Carlos Correa also adds to that rivalry. I guess that's another dimension of it. So I think that with the Twins right now, with how they've been doing, it's really surprising and just really exciting. As a guy who loves this Twins team, thinks they're really good, I'm really happy. I think one of the big problems with the Twins was just overall underperformance. I think a lot of the players they did have were just not preparing for this season well. We're not playing well in general. So I think them finally coming back and doing really well, I'm very excited about. You look at this Twins team, you look at the leaders. You had Royce Lewis, who got hurt the first game of the season, which was a big blow. You had Byron Buxton being hurt now, Carlos Correa, who got hurt, but is, of course, back now. So I apologize if there's noise from the ceiling. I don't know what that is. Someone upstairs is doing some things, I guess. But with the Twins, it's just they had so much underperformance. But you look at how well everyone was doing. They also had injuries, as I said. Ryan Jeffers has been doing really well as the catcher, just having a really great season. One of their best hitters, 167 WRC plus, which is just insane. A WAR of 1.5 in 120 at bats. Trevor Larnach has been doing really well, 166. Max Kepler, Carlos Correa, of course. Jose Miranda, who got off to a really rough start, brought it back up with a 124 weighted runs created plus. Eduardo Julian, 123. Willie Castro, 121. Byron Buxton was kind of one of the big underperformances. He had exactly league average at 99, so 100's league average, so basically exactly. So he was doing mediocre. But the thing about Buxton is, he plays one of the best defensive center fields in all of the league. The only problem is he's going to get hurt at some point, and he just was put on the 15-day IL. So that did come true, unfortunately, for Buxton. I mean, I could do a whole segment on Buxton's lost potential, but if Buxton could just stay healthy for a season, I mean, man, oh man, this guy would be a beast in an MVP running. So really hoping that he can finally stay healthy for one season while playing center field. Obviously, he was healthy last year, but was the full-time DH, which was one of the reasons he was fully healthy, because they were just making him hit. They weren't having him field. They weren't having him run the bases, play defense. So I think with this team right now, you look at the hitting, you look at how good this core is, you look at how much young players they have. I mean, it's really, really incredible. So again, catcher, Ryan Jeffers. At first base, you have probably Eduardo Julian, really good player. Carlos Santana doing really well there. Royce Lewis, before he got hurt, was really doing great. Carlos Correa, of course, is insane. Brooks Lee is going to come up soon, I think. I expected him to be on the opening day roster. Obviously, hasn't been doing the greatest in AAA either. So we'll be seeing when he gets called up, and we'll be seeing what does happen with him. So, if I'm a Twins fan, I'm really excited about this team. And I think one of the big problems with their underperformance before in the season was just the injuries. I mean, with Carlos Correa being hurt, with Royce Lewis being hurt, you had guys like Willie Castro and Kyle Farmer getting legitimate at-bats every day for this team, getting real at-bats and getting real opportunities for this team. And if you're trying to compete, you're trying to win a championship, trying to win a division, it's just not the type of players you want to have and not the type of guys you want batting for your team. I mean, just really, again, not who you want to see. So if I'm a Twins fan, I'm excited about what's going on now. Not just the hitting staff as well. I haven't even mentioned the pitching staff. And man, the pitching staff has been really, really impressive. A lot of people were looking at them kind of crazy when they let Sonny Gray walk kind of for nothing and just out of the blue, and really didn't make an opportunity at all to kind of get him back. So I think the reason they're forgetting is the Twins have so much young pitching depth. I mean, you look at the guys right now: Louis Varland, Samuel Wood Richardson, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez. A lot of those guys have been hurt, haven't been ready to go up to the major leagues, and you're seeing now how well they can impact games and how well they are doing. Pablo Lopez, who has turned into the ace of the staff now, quote-unquote, with Sonny Gray gone, hasn't been doing the greatest, does have a 4.30 ERA on the season. But at the same time, his expected ERA is much lower than that. It is 2.73. His FIP is lower. His expected FIP is lower. He has solid WAR. He's been doing better in the recent start. So he was probably getting a little unlucky, and that was probably contributing to his higher than normal ERA that I don't think really is up to the standards of a pitcher as good as a Pablo Lopez, a guy who is a really significant player in this league and just a really good pitcher. So I think, you have to look at the other guys as well now for this Twins pitching staff. You look at, first of all, a Joe Ryan, who has a 3.54 ERA. Someone who came over in a trade a few years ago from Tampa Bay for Nelson Cruz, a guy who was a big part of this Twins team and has done so well since coming over. Has been a real big part of this pitching staff. 2.7 expected ERA. That I was looking at Pablo Lopez. 3.54 ERA for Joe Ryan. Has 40 innings pitched on the year, the most on the team. He has a 3.54 ERA, 2.44 expected ERA. So even though his ERA is really good and is just at a really good number, it still could be lower than usual. He is getting a little bit unlucky, you could say. So I think overall Joe Ryan's doing really well and is having a great season. That's another big part of this pitching staff. Chris Paddock, who came back from injury, isn't doing the best, but isn't doing that bad. It's kind of been heating up a little bit. 4.78 ERA in the season. Bailey Ober, 4.65. But one of the big guys I wanted to talk about here was Simeon Woods Richardson. He has made 4 starts, has a 1.74 ERA in the season now, has an expected ERA of 3.71, but a FIP of 1.84. So the peripheral stats, the ones that show he may be getting a little unlucky or lucky, kind of mixed on what exactly is going on with Richardson and how good of a pitcher he is. So I still think he's a really solid pitcher. I think that there's a lot of potential there. Again, I'm a Mets fan. I watched Richardson coming up through the Mets organization before he got traded to Toronto for Marcus Stroman. So I thought he was a really good pitcher. I think he has a lot of good stuff. And he also pitched yesterday, or recently actually, did really, really well, had a good start with the Twins there. Had some good pitching, some good stuff overall. So I think if you're a Twins fan, you're just really excited about what this guy can bring and just what there is to see. I mean, he pitched against the Mariners yesterday, went 6 innings pitched, giving up 1 hit, no earned runs, a walk, and 8 strikeouts, a 1.74 ERA in the season, as I said. So you look at these start, you see 6 innings of 1 hit against a team like the Mariners, whose offense really is nothing to joke about. I mean, they have a lot of great players there. Of course, you have Julio Rodriguez, Josh Rojas been doing really well this season. Jorge Polanco, hasn't been great, but might have been looking for some revenge against his former team, the one that traded him this offseason. Mitch Haniger's a solid player. Kyle Raleigh's doing really well. So doing this against a really solid hitting core in the Mariners is something that is very positive for the Twins and just their pitching staff and just Simeon Woods as well. I think this guy is going to be a big part of the Twins pitching staff going forward within the seasons and just is going to be a really, really good pitcher and someone that is a big part of this future here in the Twin Cities. I think his fastball is really good. I think he has a good amount of off-speed pitches that complement the fastball well. So overall, I think Richardson is a really good pitcher for this Twins team. I think that he brings a lot of skill set and just depth to this rotation that they didn't have last year because they're having a younger pitcher like him. The Twins now are second in the AL Central, creeping up there among the Guardians, who have done so well this season. If I'm a Twins fan, I'd be really excited about what's going on, and I'd be really hopeful that this team can indeed take first place back and be one of the best teams in the AL again. I still have them winning the Central. I still think they will. I think that their hitting core is going to get better. I think a lot of their pitchers are going to find their groove, mainly Pablo Lopez, and just settle down in the second half of the season and do really solid. So if I'm a Twins fan, I'd be very excited about where this team is going and just what's going on in general with them. So, yeah, definitely happy with what's going on here. And, again, as a guy who is a big fan of this Twins team, thinks they're going to be really, really good, I'm very hopeful, and I'm excited to watch them in the future and excited to watch their young core and all the young players go to work. So, very hopeful and just overall excited to watch this Twins team and watch what they can do in the future and in this season. So that is the end of our third segment here, talking about the Minnesota Twins and what is going on with their season so far and the recent run they've been on, how they've come back from being really bad at the start of the season to now doing really well. Going into our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about the best offseason signing. There was a poll that went out from MLB.com from executives, polling executives, my apologies, about what was the best offseason signing of this year. I didn't want to give my 2 cents on it and just talk about it. I thought it was something interesting. So, going over that and talking about it over the break. So, thanks and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth and final segment, which is going to talk about the best offseason signings of the MLB offseason. There was a poll that was done by MLB.com, just polling some executives, and I did want to talk about it. So we are going to go here now to see the offseason signings. It is up on the board here if you're not watching on video. You can just look it up. It's on MLB.com. You'll see the article there. If not, come here to the channel, GSMC Sports Network. And it is right here. So, as you can see, up first, we have Shota Imanaga of the Chicago Cubs. He was the one that got the most votes for the best offseason signing of this year. He got 9 votes out of all the executives that voted. Now, is this really a surprise? No. I mean, we all know how good Imanaga has been. I made an entire segment on how good he's been doing. If you want to check that out, it's on the channel. But, he is the NL ERA leader and has just been doing super, super well. Has a .78 ERA in the season, 2.2 FIP, 1.2 F4 on the season, 6 games started, 34 innings. So I completely agree with this. I think so far he has been the best signing of the offseason. If we're just going off of this year and just like the production that has been going on this year, I think it's pretty clear that he is one of the best signings in a long time and was the best signing of last year, has been doing really, really well. The stats prove it, and After that, in second place for the Dodgers, we have, of course, the best player in baseball, Shohei Ohtani, who had 4 votes. Now, I think Ohtani probably should be, you can make an argument that he should be first. I'm not going to argue because I think Imanaga just has been that good, and Ohtani's not pitching right now, so... But I think Ohtani should have probably more than 4 votes. I mean, I understand Imanaga having that many votes, and I think it's really fair. But I think Ohtani should have a lot more. And I think he's been a really good pitcher so far. He's done really, really well. Not pitcher, sorry. Obviously, I meant hitter. He's not pitching this year. He's done really, really well so far. And, I mean, the stats are just insane. I mean, yes, he's not pitching, but... Man, you look at his hitting stats right now for Ohtani, and you see why he got paid $700 million, even when I knew he wasn't going to pitch and probably won't pitch in long term as well. So far, has a WRC plus of 219. League average is 100, so he is 119 over league average, basically. Is 2.7 playing, has basically not playing the outfield at all, being a DH for the Dodgers. 167 plate appearances, 11 home runs. Already broke the record for most home runs for a Japanese-born Dodgers player, beating his own manager's record for Dave Roberts, which I also learned David Roberts was born in Japan. Did not know that, but I mean, Ohtani has not played defense since 2021, back when he was with the Angels playing the outfield. So he has almost 3 WAR now, just being a DH, which is unheard of. I mean, he's not even fully healthy. So you're seeing how good he can be when he just focuses on hitting and just how good of a player he is in general. So if I'm a Dodgers fan, of course, I think that the signing has worked out. I think it was a really, really good job by the Dodgers to be able to get Ohtani, obviously the best player in baseball. So I think he has been, as expected so far, has been doing really, really well. And if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'd be really excited about what's going on with him and really hopeful. So, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg here. You're having this much hitting, and he gets to pitch next year. So, makes sense that he's second. Should be a little higher probably, but I understand it. Third, an interesting one here is Jack Flaherty of the Tigers. Now, this really not confused me, but was surprising to me, definitely. I didn't think Flaherty would, rank this high. Yes, he's tied, but I guess they put him in third for a reason. Might have gotten some nods from other people as well, but only got one vote. Has a 3.86 ERA so far, a FIP of 2.98, so pretty close to that, but a little under. But I think Flaherty has been a really solid signing for Detroit. Overall, he has been a really good pitcher for them. They signed him to try to rebuild his value after some rough seasons in St. Louis, getting traded to Baltimore, not doing much better there. So I think when you look at this Tigers team that is trying to do these things now, is trying to be kind of that organization where people go to and get fixed, quote unquote, kind of be the Dodgers or the Rays or something like that. I think Flaherty was a good signing in process, and I think he's been good as well. I think that he's added a lot to your pitching staff. Already have a really good one with, in my opinion, the AL Cy Young winner soon, Tarik Skubal. So I think that overall the Tigers did a really good job signing Flaherty. I thought it was a kind of expensive deal to sign him to. I didn't really like the price point. I thought they could have done a little better with that. And I think there were some other better options here for Flaherty, but he's done really well, and has been a really good signing so far. I don't know if I'd have him tied with some of the names I'd have below there, but I think one vote is fine, and I think maybe third is a little too high, but he definitely should be on this list. He's been a really solid signing for Detroit and done a really good job there. So props to him and props to the Tigers. Now, next we have Sonny Gray. I'd have Sonny Gray much higher. I think right now he's probably in the top 5. And he's done really, really well. I don't know why he isn't higher. I mean, you look at his stats currently for the Cardinals. He has a .89 ERA in 5 starts, a 1.56 WAR, a 1.3 FWAR. Has been the guy that the Cardinals have been looking for a long time. His barrel percentage is down from last year. His max exit velocity is down from last year. His average exit velocity is down from last year. So there's a lot to like right now if you are a Cardinals fan about Gray. They've needed a real ace for a little while now after Wainwright started progressing. The thing that's been so frustrating about the Cardinals, I've talked about it, that when the pitching is on, the hitting isn't, and when the hitting is on, the pitching isn't. So it's just kind of been hard to get down, but I'm not putting that on Sonny Gray. He's been a very good signing, has been really, really good for them. He's finally adding a really good pitcher to this Cardinals team and this Cardinals organization that they've needed for a long time. Was a great signing. I would have him higher. I would have him definitely in the top 5. I think there's 2 other guys here on this list that I have above him that are lower that I obviously have higher. Again, it is all tied, but I'm thinking that they put these guys in this order for a reason, so I'm just going off of that. So with the next guy, it is going to be Jordan Hicks of the Giants. Now, I'd have Jordan Hicks much higher. I think Jordan Hicks has been one of the best signings the entire season. He's been really, really good for this Giants team. Has really surprised me. I didn't necessarily think it would not work this experiment to make Jordan Hicks a starting pitcher, but did I think it would work this well? No, I didn't. I did not think it would be this good and how good he has been. So I think Hicks should be a little higher. I think having him tied with Jack Flaherty just does not make a lot of sense, and I think that, again, he should be higher in this list, and he deserves to be. He's been so good for this Giants pitching staff since coming over, turning into a starting pitcher, has formed a really deadly 1-2 punch with Logan Webb in this rotation, and I don't know why he is 5th on this list and tied with Jack Flaherty. I think him and Sonny Gray are in the right spots, but you look at Hicks, he has a 1.89 ERA in 7 starts, lower ERA than Jack Flaherty. His K per 9 has been really great as well. At 7, a little lower than I expected actually for this season, but him being such a strikeout heavy guy when he was a reliever, but he probably had to change up most of his repertoire for being a starter. Not like pitches-wise, but how he throws them and how he paces himself, because you just can't throw 103 every pitch as a starter. You're going to get Tommy John after 3 starts, so especially nowadays. So I think Hicks has done a really good job for San Francisco. I think it's been a really good signing for San Francisco, and I think it's an example of how good it's just an example of this new generation of analytics and players and front offices and what they do to get relievers and starters, and how good they've made them. So I like this signing a lot for San Francisco. I think it should be higher. I'd probably have it at number 4 on this list and Sonny Gray number 5. But I understand. Again, I don't understand. I don't know why Jack Flaherty is above them. I understand that. I don't understand, even if he's not above them, quote unquote, because they're tied. I don't think they should be tied. I think that he should have more votes and maybe split those among the votes. But yeah. But right now, I'd probably go Amanga, Ohtani. I'd have Gray. I'd have someone else 3 who I'm going to talk about who's down this list. I'd have Hicks 4 and I'd have Gray 5. But next we're going to talk about Reynaldo Lopez of the Atlanta Braves, another reliever who turned into a starter with his new team. Lopez has also been doing really well, has fulfilled the experiment for the Braves. The Braves kind of did a weird thing where instead of getting a really legit starting pitcher that they needed for a long time, they signed a reliever to a big contract and tried to make him a starter. So it was a weird process, I think, but it's worked out so far. So props to the Braves. Again, I don't really judge the Braves, and I really just sit back and watch what they're doing, because usually it ends up being correct. So so far Lopez has been really, really good. Has been doing really solid with the Braves. Has an ERA of 1.50, a FIP of 2.94, WAR of 0.7. You look at his other peripherals as well. His left-on base percentage is insane at 92. I think that's going to have to go down a little bit. That's not really the most sustainable, but still good. Ground ball percentage is higher. His, you look at his hard hit percentage, it's lower. His Sierra is doing really well at a 3.53. Expected FIP at 3.56. That's doing well there as well. You look at his expected ERA, 3.22. So he's done a really good job for this Braves team. Been a really good starter, and happy for him, and happy that he's done such a good job. And I think he deserves to be on this list. Next is Seth Lugo, who I have at number 3. Lugo has been insane. I don't know why he only has 1 vote. He should have more. Had a really great season with the Padres last year. A lot of people were curious to see if he could follow it up, and he's been really, really good. Does have a 1.60 ERA in the season so far. Has started 7 games and has really transformed this Royals team. They were kind of a laughingstock before, but with all these signings, I think Lugo being the biggest one and him being the best so far, he's done a really good job of transforming this young, hungry team to a real legit contender. This rotation has been really good with him, Brady Singer, Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha, and if I'm a Royals fan right now, I'd be really excited about this pitching staff in the future and the Seth Lugo signing. I'd have him higher. I think he deserves to be higher, but I'm just glad he's on the list in general, and I'm glad he's getting his props. Watching him as a Mets fan in Queens for a long time, I'm very excited that he is finally getting the respect he deserves and prove people wrong and can be a starter. So, next guy we have is going to be Albert Suarez of the Orioles. He was signed to a minor league contract with them and has now started 3 games and has had a 2.04 ERA. Had a little bit of a streak of giving up no runs, but come back down to earth a little bit. And I understand the story about him. I understand that he's been really good, but I wouldn't have him on this list. I don't think he deserves a vote. With all these other guys here, I understand the story. I think it's really, really good. And I'm excited for him, but at the same time, I just don't think he deserves to be on this list. I'm sorry. Again, really nice story. Really good contributor to the Orioles pitching staff this year, but I just don't think he's fit to be on this list here. I don't think he's one of the best offseason signings so far. Spencer Turnbull definitely deserves to be on here. We talked about him in the Phillies segment, so no need to really go into it deeper, but he's been insane for them. Been a really good depth signing and has turned into a really good pitcher for them after the injury to Taijuan Walker. Has been a really, really positive arm for them. Has been doing a really good job, so props to him and props to the Phillies. Now, some other guys I would have on this list, I'd say, I'd probably have here Luis Severino or Sean Manaea. They've been really good for the Mets. I'd also have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as I said. He's been doing well this season. Long term, I don't know if there's anyone that looks better for him than him. Maybe Umaga right now, but I'd have those 3 guys on the list probably somewhere, or just in the conversation as well. So, but overall, I don't think it's a bad list. Main guy I really have a gripe with is probably Jack Flaherty and Albert Suarez. But even those are okay, and I understand. So I get it, but just not my cup of tea, and I do think that maybe they shouldn't have been on this list, really. But yeah, that is the end of our 4th and final segment, and that is the show for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and push notification bell to not only get notified when I upload, but all the other great content creators on the channel do. So make sure to see that. Make sure to see that, do that, and yeah, talk to you guys later. And have a great day. We'll see you at Baseball with us tomorrow. We'll invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram for more content and updates. It's a great day outside. Enjoy it, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.